and welcome to the Sam and Ryan channel. My name is Sam and happy holidays. We are at the end of 2023 and it has been a big year. I thought it could be really fun to do a tier list of all of the shows that I got to see this year. And I just want to say I am so fortunate, I am so grateful, I feel so lucky that I was able to see so much theater this year. Even while prepping for this video, I was going through my camera roll to build out my list, and I saw way more shows this year than I thought. So let's take a little trip down memory lane and make a tier list of all of the shows I saw in 2023. If you see me looking to my left over here a lot, it's because that's where the tier list is. I think one of the first shows I actually saw this year, I saw with Ryan, and you guys actually got to see little parts of it too because we made a whole vlog about it. Steel Magnolias. So if you missed it, earlier this year, Ryan and I surprised some Sam and Ryan fans by going to their production of Steel Magnolias. They were close enough in the LA area to where we thought, hey, let's do it. Let's make a road trip of it. Let's go see their production and give them our Sam and Ryan support. And it was so much fun. They all did such a great job. It was so fun to be in that school theater setting again. And genuinely, it was my first time ever experiencing the play that is Steel Magnolias. I've also never seen the movie either. If you didn't watch that vlog, I will link it so you can go check it out. But I really gotta say, for the memories, for the experience, and for the play itself, I'm putting Steel Magnolias top tier. That was such a good theater experience for me, for us, for everyone involved. I went to New York in April of this year, which is crazy. That trip does not feel like it happened this year. But I had the absolute joy of seeing Anne Juliet. I'll be very honest, guys. Walking into this, I was like, I don't need to see this show. It looks like it's just gonna be a jukebox musical. It's probably gonna be really cheesy. Oh my God, I loved it so much. Yes, it was really, really fun. Yes, it is a jukebox musical. So I will have to say sometimes the audiences at jukebox musicals really upset me because people start singing along because they're like, wait, I know this song, so that means I'm allowed to sing it. And this is like a concert, right? No! Just because a production's set is designed to look and feel like a concert doesn't mean you get to sing along. Anyway, so I still had some of that, but the story was actually so clever. I really loved it. The music, the performances were absolutely fantastic, and it just felt so joyous. I really enjoyed it. I'm trying to think about where to put it now. I'm getting nervous because I do have to say, I really loved the show. I'm so glad it's on Broadway. I do think if you have the chance to see it, you should see it. There was a piece of me that did feel like there were some themes that felt a little okay, good for you guys. Allies. You know what I mean? There's a non-binary character in the show, which is fantastic. I am all for more representation in Broadway. However, there are just a few lines where it feels a little too on the nose. There's a moment where Anne is talking about May, who is the non-binary character, and she has this whole speech for them that's maybe they get to decide whoever they, I don't know. It just felt very soapboxy for 2 seconds. And I know that this is a very nuanced conversation because I think representation is important. I think it's great to have these conversations in the art world. And sometimes I just wish it would be more of a show don't tell. That's a general concept in the arts, in movies and shows and whatever, is show don't tell. You don't have to literally tell the audience this is what this means and this is why this is okay and beautiful and great and it's well, okay, maybe find a way to show us that through the plot, which they do, and they do well. There's a beautiful song, there's a beautiful moment for May's character. There was some of the writing that I feel could have been tweaked, could have used one more pass. Brilliant show. I'm so happy it exists. I had so much fun. It's such a funny concept. I think I'm putting it in an A tier because I did have notes. But again, I do really recommend you go see it. On that same trip, Ryan and I actually saw the Book of Mormon together, and that was so much fun. I had never seen it. I kind of forget that it's still on Broadway right now. Clearly it's doing really well. There were a lot of people there when we saw it. We were able to get tickets same day, but my God, it really is from the creators of South Park. It's out there, but it's so fun, and it's so smart. It's actually so well written. It's such a great like commentary piece on religion in a way that still respects religion if people want to partake in that, but also just like raises a lot of brilliant questions. It's very funny. I did have a great experience with it. But it's not necessarily like my favorite show. I do kind of feel like this is going in the B tier for me. It's definitely a fun night in the theater if you have the opportunity, but I don't know that I'm necessarily running around telling people like, you have to see this before it leaves. So we're gonna go B tier. Now this was another show that we did vlog on this channel, but I had the absolute joy of seeing the Into the Woods Broadway tour when it came to Los Angeles, and it was fantastic. I'm very familiar with the show Into the Woods. Again, this was like the concert turned revival turned tour. It's a very interesting like history of a show, this version, but I really enjoyed it. The cast was fantastic. It was a really interesting presentation of Into the Woods. It's a very bare bones set. It's very simple, still very clever, the way that they're able to set a scene without, you know, these massive intricate sets and everything. So very clever, very creative. I really enjoyed it. I think this is a solid A tier for me. I'm really trying to reserve like the top tier for the ones that I was like, spiritual experience. So it wasn't quite that for me, but it was fantastic. Now, of course, the big musical event of the summer was the production of West Side Story in Chicago at the Chicago Lyric Opera, starring Ryan McCartan. We will never forget. I do have to say that this was an S tier experience. This was like top tier. The show was stunning. The whole production was stunning. The voices were amazing. And I think there's a world in which I could put it in the A tier, but Ryan's Maria, Ryan's Something Coming, those were spiritual experiences. Those were out of this world. Standing ovation. Like, this absolutely gets bumped into the S tier for that. I also got to see the Hadestown tour. It made its way back to LA, but with a new cast. It's a fantastic story. It's a great production. I loved seeing it with another cast. I loved it the first time around, but this was just as solid. I really have nothing but positive things to say about it. This is still gonna be an A tier for me. It was such a solid experience. It was such a fun night. I got to bring my friend Chad, who had never seen it before, so that was really fun. Solid A tier. So as a lot of you know, I was just in New York City, and that was like a whole Christmas trip for myself. And so of course I did treat myself to some theater experiences. If you know me, you know that I love Wicked. I am obsessed with Wicked. It was the first Broadway show I ever saw. It has such a big place in my heart. I love it. So of course I took myself to see Wicked. Oh my gosh, was it fantastic. Mackenzie Kurtz as Glinda is to die for. I feel pretty confident in saying she's my favorite. Oh my God. The mailman just dropped off mail and that like scared me. I thought there was a ghost or something. Hated that. Also, that happening when I'm saying that something's to die for, did not like that. Mackenzie Kurtz as Glinda, it's something to live for. She is amazing. Alyssa Joy Fox was Elphaba and she was out of this world. Jordan, I believe his last name is Litz, was Fiyero, and he was such a solid Fiyero. Like, so funny, great voice, really committed, like acting, like everyone was great. I've said I'll probably do like a full story time on this, like on social media, like TikTok or Instagram or something, because I really want to like do a whole campaign about this. Don't talk or sing during a Broadway show. I loved this show. I loved seeing it. This was probably one of the worst audiences I've ever been in. It was a Wednesday night, but again, the beginning of the holiday season, so I thought it was gonna be like a great audience, but what happens is it's a lot of tourists, or it's a lot of people who were maybe like gifted these tickets and maybe don't actually care to be there or aren't theater fans or whatever. I really don't know what it is, but a melting pot of a bunch of those things just made the audience horrible. I cannot tell you how many like phone flashes I saw. Two couples behind me were drunk and talking like this loud. They were literally like talking this loud for all of Act 1. I was very passive aggressive with them, and I do regret not like actually telling them to shut up and like getting an usher to kick them out, because when I say that the ladies started singing, I mean they started singing, full drunk singing along to the show. Musicals, like theater performances, are not concerts. Guys, when I say she was literally, so if you care to find me, where's the sky? That is the only reason why I'm putting this in the A tier and not the S tier. The show itself was fantastic. I need to move on or else I'm just gonna rant about this. So it's going in the A tier. If you're interested in Ryan and I making a video together more about just like theater audience culture and telling more stories like that, please let us know, because we kind of want to make one anyway and like want to like put more of that information out there. So if you have any questions about that topic, want to know some stories about like bad theater audiences and all that stuff, let us know. Leave some questions in the comments of this video. I am so grateful that after seeing Wicked that one night, that the next night I saw Hadestown. Y'all, out of this world. I'm gonna spoil it. S tier. S tier, S tier, S tier. A phenomenal experience. I splurged on these tickets. I still found a good deal, but yeah, I splurged a little bit. I also thought that row C was like the third or maybe even like fifth row back, because you know some theaters are like AA, BP, DT, you know, whatever. So I was like, okay, C will be good, I'll be fine. C is the front row at the Walter Kerr. I was unaware of that. I'm very dear friends with Jordan Fisher's wife, Ellie, and so I let her know. I was like, give Jordan the heads up that I am literally front and center. I will be just like this the whole show. I've never been more hyper aware of my facial expressions, because again, literally the stage lights like hit the first few rows. So I was like, they can all see me. Oh God. Thankfully, I never had to pretend once, because this show, this cast, oh my God, the chemistry between everyone is out of this world. Betty, who is Persephone, is fantastic. Oh my God. I am very upset because the camera cut as I was gushing about Hadestown. Everyone in this cast is amazing. Jordan Fisher's Orpheus is a role made for him. It's amazing. Same thing with Soleil Pfeiffer. Holy cow. Her talent is out of this world. Her Eurydice is unreal. The two of them together, again, like a match made in heaven. Betty, who is Persephone, remarkable. This entire cast, like, it feels like this story is being held so intentionally by this cast right now. Like, it was a spiritual experience, I'm not gonna lie. Like, it absolutely was. Again, being so close, I felt like it was like a 4D experience. I felt like I was like in it. A magical night of theater for me that brought me so much joy. This is one that like I would actually go door to door to be like, hey, you need to see Hadestown. See it in the next few months before Betty Who leaves. So yes, top tier, top tier. Again, I just, this cast is out of this world. Also, while I was in New York on this trip, I had the pleasure of seeing Ryan's show. He was in an off-Broadway production of Lone Star. Now, I want to preface this by saying Ryan was absolutely fantastic. It was so fun to see him in this character, and a character that I feel like I haven't really gotten to see him play before. It was so much fun to watch him in this. Ryan, however, is also only in like 30 minutes of the play. My biggest kind of like thought or note about this play itself is that there's a lot of good subject matter there. It just felt really long. And that might have been influenced by the fact that I really had to pee for like the last 30 minutes. In my little like director brain, there were just ways that I would have done things differently. And also, I guess I don't really know if you can do this with like material like this, but like I would have cut so much out. In my brain, there's just like such a climactic way to end this show. And once we got there, I was like, yeah, this is it. Cut to black. Like, that's so powerful. And then like 30 more minutes happened. So I had notes. Again, this is not about Ryan. Ryan, if you're watching this, You were fantastic. I'm putting this in like this C tier. I'm so glad I got to see it. I'm so glad I got to see Ryan in it. Also on this same trip, I had the joy of seeing Gutenberg, the musical. A lot of people told me that this was gonna be funny, and they are absolutely right. It was very funny. I do think that Josh Gad and Andrew Rannells together are like a brilliant pair. The show itself, it's very like living and breathing. There were a lot of opportunities for them to like improvise and like talk directly to the audience, which made it really fun. But again, like the show itself, it kind of just felt like a very like thinly veiled plot to serve as an excuse for Josh Gad and Andrew Rannells to do a show together. Again, I'm so in support of that. I am so in support of that. I love them as a comedic duo and individuals. I think they're very, very funny and very talented. I was having a conversation with someone about the show, and the whole plot is that they're like presenting their musical like to an audience, hoping that a producer comes along to give them a Broadway contract. It was very funny. There were a lot of very funny moments, but I feel like this general sentiments of like a show about making a show and all these jokes about musical theater, I feel like Something Rotten already did that and like did it really well, like with a really funny, interesting plot. I'm very glad that my ticket was only like $55. I feel like if I spent more than that, I'd probably be like, okay. I feel like I just kind of like paid to be in the same room as Josh Gad and Andrew Rannells. I had a good time. I think the more that I sat with it, I was kind of like, maybe I do actually have notes for this. So you know what? Oh, that's funny. I'm putting it in the B tier. I'm putting it right there with Book of Mormon. It's right where Andrew Rannells and Josh Gad belong. Together. I guess if you didn't know, they were in Book of Mormon together. Oh, whatever. You got it. You got it. All right, so that is the tier list of all the shows that I saw in 2023. Again, I'm so grateful that I was able to see so much theater. I know that theater is not very accessible everywhere around the world, and so I'm very grateful that I had the privilege to see so much musical theater. That brought me a lot of joy this year. Let me know your thoughts on the tier list in the comments down below. As always, be sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you guys later. Bye!